This is your City Council Roundup, a recap of what's happening at City Hall with John Ongaro. The views expressed in this program are solely of those of the host and not necessarily those of the radio station or its partners.
And away we go with everyone in attendance last night, except for Councillors Benson and Gertuga. They were online. We had a on-time City Council meeting last night. First, some announcements from the City Manager. The capital budget for public review is ready to go already on November the 18th. He also announced a retirement last night, kind of surprising. Thunder Bay Fire Chief Dave Paxton is retiring. He joined the fire service back in 1998 and became the deputy in 2012. He'll be leaving the service in January. Chief Paxton, thank you for your longstanding service. Now, I wanted to spend some time on a couple of new developments, but your council melted down again last night, so we're going to spend a little extra time on the embarrassing part a little bit later, but let's go quick. First, the city is moving forward with plans for a significant new commercial hub, and a report presented last night with details on a recommendation to approve the official plan and zoning bylaw changes for the lands at 869 Gulf Links Road. That's Gulf Links and the Harbor Expressway. The goal, to develop 8 commercial buildings encompassing 10,000 square meters of floor space, which will house a mix of uses, including a grocery store, general retail, and several restaurants. 3, by the way, have patios and a couple of drive-thrus.
Very nice.
Was on the plans.
Like
Public
that.
consultation has generated some concern regarding the potential extra traffic along Gulf Links Road, you figure, while other commentators supported the proposal, but requested ample tree planting along the street view. It's a massive project. This, by the way, is not the Costco site. Oh, can I say Costco? It's Costco. This is not the Costco site. It's next door to it. $34 to $36 million in construction and site work. It'll be $45 million when it's complete, and it should be done in mid-2027.
Wow.
That is a big deal.
I'm excited.
I don't want to overlook the next piece. The turf has a name. Yes, it does. It will now be referred to as the T-Baytel Multiplex. $50,000 a year for 10 years is their investment. Councillor Benz had some questions about the name and kind of wanted a definition of multiplex. In most cases, the sponsor or the funder picks the name of the space, so T-Baytel picked multiplex. Multiple sports in a complex. Multiplex. Well, no. If you're a nerd, this is super clever.
What?
Multiplexing is a technique that combines multiple signals of data streams into a single composite signal for transmission over a shared communication channel, such as a wire or a fiber optic cable.
Oh, wow.
Hey, that's what T-Baytel does. Pretty clever, T-Baytel
Not
nerds.
bad.
Very well done.
Thumbs up on that
It
one.
is a great name, and that was approved last night. Now let's move on to the topic that took over 2 hours of my life last night, and maybe yours too. A city council report prepared last month addressed the growing financial challenges facing the Thunder Bay Art Gallery facility, which has seen its new costs jumping from $49.9 million to potentially $74.7 million. This massive increase, driven largely by factors like inflation pressure, supply chain constraints, and has a major funding shortfall. And it's prompted the art gallery to approach the city for additional financial support. While administration generally avoids providing extra funds to external projects that exceeded their original budgets, they acknowledged that there's some strange circumstances here, especially considering the city's original $5 million commitment leveraged about $41 million in federal and provincial funding. So that $5 million turned into $41. And at that time, $5 million, by the way, was 10% of the build. Well, that's different now. To support the completion of this key cultural infrastructure, administration recommended that an additional $2.5 million contribution goes towards the capital costs of the art gallery. The supplementary funding would raise the city's total commitment to $7.5 million, ensuring that the municipal share remains proportional to the adjusted project cost, which is about 10%. To avoid putting extra pressure on the operating budget or increasing the city's debt, the recommended financing strategy pulls the additional funds from the city reserve accounts. Phase 1 funding will come from the municipal accommodation tax, and Phase 2 will come from Renew Thunder Bay Reserve Fund. Now, most importantly, the city is structuring the $2.5 million contribution in 2 phases, matching the art gallery's plan for a partial opening, followed by full completion. Now, listen carefully. To safeguard the city's investment and ensure taxpayer dollars are used prudently, the release of this additional money will be strictly conditional. You understand? Conditional. The first $1.25 million intended to support the partial opening will only be released once the art gallery has confirmed all other required funding necessary. The second $1.25 million will only be released once the partial opening is achieved, and the remaining funding will go towards the $75 million on completion of the project. Now, we did learn something last night. This I didn't know. It turns out the art gallery got quite a curveball thrown at them when building this building. It turns out that the remediation of the land, that's the prepping of the land to be built on, cost them $10 million. That land belongs to the city. So essentially, the city handed them some land and said, you got to fix it before you build anything. They thought it was going to be $1.4 million, but no, not even close. The remediation cost $10 million. That's way more than 1.4, and that was for them to fix up the city's land in order to build on the property. That was a big chunk of the overages in the building of the site, and that matters.
1.4 million to 10 million. That's a big
you're building
discrepancy there.
You're building a building on Lake Superior. There's a lot to that.
Yeah.
Now, before I get into the debate and the disaster that was the rest of the meeting, if I may give some commentary, I know that's what we do, but I'll be brief. I support the art gallery. What it means to the community, what it means to the waterfront, and what it means to the growth of the city, period. I support the arts. I always have, and I always will. So please make sure you understand something before you start sending hate mail and texts about this. Make sure you have the facts. This is not a city building. It's the art gallery's building. The city is investing 10% into the building. It doesn't run it. It doesn't own it. It's not paying for it. Other funders are paying 90% of the cost, not the city of Thunder Bay. That is really important to understand because there's something coming up that should make some sense to those that are against the project and the city's 10% investment. So on to the debate, and this is where your counselors really started to shine last night, or in many cases were a complete embarrassment. First up, big surprise. Councillor Agarwal wants administration to have a role in the operating of the facility and how it's being built. Did you hear what I just told you? It's not our building. We have no role in building it and managing it, and the city manager had to point that out again and again to the councillor. You know, the last time I checked, a 10% partner in a building has no business running the business. This line of questioning is simply campaigning and stirring the pot for no value. Next up, a counselor who obviously didn't read the same report I did. Councillor Aiello was looking for a strategy saying when the money was handed over and how we're going to do it. Wait, didn't I just explain a minute ago directly from the report? How did I know the answer? I'm not even that smart. So the treasurer had to explain it again to the counselor. It's in the report. It's the one I read. He must have missed it. Then he needed it explained to him again by the speaker, Councillor Folds. The money doesn't go anywhere until the conditions are met, period. When they fundraise what they need, that's when we pay. It's completely conditional. It's not free money, but Councillor Aiello didn't catch that in the report or just didn't bother reading it. Next up, a round of locker room buddies. Yeah, I said it. Councillor Zazino wanted to point out that it's money we didn't have in the first place, and we had to get a loan for the first $5 million. Breaking news, Councillor Zazino. Your famous turf also has a loan attached to it. He says we could use the money on other things, so we had to borrow it. It's like that favorite pet project with the fake piece of grass, Councillor. He's opposed to the art gallery because, well, he cares more about sports than the arts. That's noted. Guess who's next? The star of the night, Councillor Gertuga, who is going to mention a few times in the first round that he wants to know the strategy, even though it's in the report. He doesn't want to commit $2.5 million to the arts. We just explained the strategy and how we're going to pay it, but he missed it. So let's remember he was okay with a $50 million turf for sports. He doesn't like the arts. Noted. Councillor Johnson is next. He's good to support sports, not the arts. Noted. But the end of the first round, and there were 3 rounds total, Councillor Folds said something very, very important, and something that I've said publicly more than once. It's about the arts. The previous councillors obviously don't support the arts, but are okay with sports. Now listen to this explanation carefully from Councillor Andrew Folds, who, of course, is the Speaker.
I'm a little embarrassed in the sense that I can't draw, I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't play an instrument, and I certainly can't act. I'm none of those things. I'm a sports guy. We have lots of sports fields. We have lots of sports buildings, and we're making investments in sports buildings. We've got lots of rinks. And most of those are almost entirely supported on the tax base. And we show extraordinary support for sports. And so we should. Recreation is kind of my thing. But there are many of us that are in education. And certainly all of us have been in school. And you see the people that walk around those buildings, and they're not all athletes. They are not all athletes. Some of them are extraordinary artists, and they get pennies on the dollar for support in society. They get pennies on the dollar. And I think it is about time that we honor the fact that not everybody's strength is being an athlete. Some people, their strength is something else. And it's the dancing, it's the painting, it's the singing, and it's the instruments. I'm a kind of a sports guy, but I'm also a human being. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate those individuals with the strengths that I do not have.
Outstanding. I
Super
sometimes disagree with Councillor Folds and his reasoning, but what he just delivered was outstanding. Immediately following that commentary, Councillor Aiello is back with round two, and this was his response to Councillor Folds.
Councillor Aiello, please.
No, you made some good points there. I think one of the important things to note is that we already have an art gallery. It's not as if we don't have anything, where people could go and people could meet. So that is just, I just want to clarify that we already have one.
My outburst in my basement last night had cause for concern for the people upstairs who checked on me, where I yelled, "Are you kidding me?" The new Thunder Bay Art Gallery is 40,000 square feet, Councillor. The current building is 4,000 square feet. What a ridiculous thing to point out. I wonder how you'd feel, Councillor, if someone pointed out that your legacy project of an indoor turf should be 10 times smaller than it is. You'd be okay with that? Because we already have a soccer field, so why build another one? You probably wouldn't be okay with that. But, quote, we already have an art gallery? Yeah, we also already had a couple of soccer fields, too. Here comes another dandy. It just keeps getting worse at this point, and this is where it gets embarrassing. Councillor Agarwal is back to argue that because the art gallery has a coffee shop and rental space, that they should pay taxes, because it's going to hurt other businesses that pay taxes. That's right. Every other coffee shop in town is going to shut down because the art gallery is selling coffee with free taxes. What a ridiculous argument. Embarrassing, actually. So I guess the garden selling popcorn should also pay taxes too. And the auditorium should pay taxes because they sell expensive beer. Oh, and the conservatory should pay taxes too because they've got a vending machine. How ridiculous. Any guesses on how the councillor voted? Bet you're wrong. Stay tuned. Then Councillor Gatuga is back, all fired up to challenge administration again. This time, he's challenging the chair. He's demanding an answer to the question that no one has an answer to, because there isn't one yet, but he refuses to listen to that, and the outbursts start. He's demanding an answer from the city manager on what the definition of a partial opening is. But the art gallery nor the city know what that means yet because they're not there yet. But of course, he won't accept that answer. And just to make more outbursts that were not only childish, but as one friend texted me, if anyone from the outside of the city tuned into this right now, they would think we were nuts. He's absolutely right. Let the embarrassment begin. The councillor challenges the speaker, who's the speaker, not the chair, and not the speaker, just speaker. Got it? But before challenging the speaker, he needs a seconder. And guess who the seconder was? That's right, Councillor Agarwal. So now it's time to challenge the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Speaker,
Thank you, Councillor. The reason why I made the ruling that I did was, in essence, neither the art gallery nor city administration at this point of this process fully knows what a partial opening would be. The
How do we know?
was-
How do we know? We haven't asked them.
Sorry,
How do we know?
Councillor.
We haven't asked them.
Councillor.
We haven't asked them.
Speaker,
Well, you're
okay,
saying that you're
we need to
speaking for the
call
art
this.
gallery.
Okay, Councillor Gertuga, if you interrupt again, I will have to shut off your microphone because it is now my turn to speak. So I made my ruling because at this point in time, neither administration nor the art gallery have a full comprehension of what a partial opening would be. If the resolution is supported this evening, that in fact directs our administration to negotiate what that would look like with the art gallery. The question was asked what the partial opening would look like. The city manager answered the question to the best of all the knowledge that is currently known by our administration. So that is why I made the ruling.
And that's why the challenge of the chair failed. But it failed 8 councillors to 5. 5 of them supported challenging the chair on that answer, which could not have been more clear. Finally, after over 2 hours of debate, guess what happens next? The final vote. The decision to give the art gallery an additional $2.5 million, conditional on funding and 2 other phases from the Renew Thunder Bay Fund and the MAT tax. Not free money, conditional money. Guess what happened? The decision passed. Guess by how much? 8-5. Shocking, I know. So for your scorecards, Councillors Zizzino, Pascalino, Johnson, Gertuga, and Aiello care more about sports than the arts. And they don't see the arts as having equal importance in our community because all of them voted in favor for the turf, which will be 5 times the cost of our investment to the art gallery. Let that sink in. 5 times the investment. All of them forgot that we own 100% of the rinks and fields in the city with your tax dollars. And our investment in the art gallery is 10%. 10%. Shame on them. Again and again. It's not a city project. It's not city land anymore. It's theirs. It's not the city's building. It's not run by the city. It's not owned by the city. The city's share is 10%. 10% in an arts facility, but 100% in sports facilities, including the one that's being built now for 5 times our investment in the arts gallery. The facts are straight. Take notes, councillors. Especially the ones that don't care about the arts. We're less than a year away from an election. Supporters of the arts, you know what you have to do. Outbursts, interruptions, broken sentences, confusing questions, and not reading reports sums up the entire night last night, which can also be summed up in 2 words once again: an embarrassment. The meeting ended at 9:45.
I have to say, I am, thanks for your thoughts, John. Appreciate that, number one. But I also have to say, I am super impressed at Councillor Folds and how he is running these meetings.
Yeah, listen.
There is a lot to handle there, and he sounds like he's taking care of it. I'm impressed.
He's taken his fair share of hits in this little program over the years. He has. Absolutely. I don't always agree with him, but his leadership in that room is outstanding, and it is exactly what we need right now to keep these people in line. But I don't know how he has the patience to be interrupted the way that he is, to try to run things on time, to hold the councillors accountable to the new rules, which is 5 minutes of speaking. He does an outstanding job, and it's exactly what we need at this time. I don't always agree with his policies, but the way that he runs the meetings, if it were up to me, that would make a good mayor.
Oh, wow. All right. So here's the deal. A recap of today's City Council Roundup, and this was a special edition. There is a lot to cover there. Thanks, John. You can find it at yourthunderbay.ca. You'll find that in just a bit. Time is 8:28. Thanks.